Okay, we're live. Looks like there's a bit of a delay going on. Hopefully you can see me okay. So welcome to the coaching call. We are waiting for a few people to hop on. Actually, nobody's on yet, but what I'll do is...
Mark and Lisa are on.
Oh, Mark and Lisa are on. Hey, Mark. Hey, Lisa. How are you? For some reason, it doesn't show exactly who's on for me. So anyway, I just want to start out by asking you, how are things going? Some of you are beginning your third month starting next week. Some of you are starting your second month next week. And some of you are starting on Monday. So how are things going? How are you feeling? Are you feeling like you're making progress? Are you feeling like you're making small wins? Would love to hear some wins that you've had. Let me see if I can view the attendees. Oh yeah, okay, there he goes. Mark is showing Mark and Lisa. So Mark, Lisa, why don't you start by sharing in the chat room something, a win for you? And we can share it. I'll share it with everyone else. And by the way, we are working on some other technology to do the coaching calls that is hopefully a little bit more friendly to work with. I know there's been some complaints. Hey, Giselle, I think some of the stuff online is actually taking away from the Google Hangout. Ooh, we've got 4 people on now. So who else is on? Rick is on. What's up, Rick? So we're just sharing some, I've asked everybody to share some wins. Is this, and Lisa is asking, is this the chat room or should it be in the YouTube? No, this is the chat room, Lisa. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. So, so share it in the chat. So, and while you're sharing, I just want to talk a little bit about a theme that's been going on in my head. And it's the things that really fit people know and do that unfit people don't know or don't do, right? And there's this, and this is something that so many people are guilty of. You may see someone who's very fit and think, oh, great genetics. He's probably always looked like that, or she's always looked like that. And you don't see all the years of hard work that went into that physique, right? And we do that with businesses too. We see the guy driving around in a nice car, woman driving around in a nice car. We see like that moment, but we didn't see any of the things that they had to do to get there. And like I said, there are things that super fit people do that the rest of us don't do. And things that they know that the rest of us don't know. And one of the things is what Lisa is talking about, is being consistent. So Lisa is sharing her goal. One of her first goals was to be consistent. So I've been able to do that. I've lost a few pounds, but more than that, I feel stronger. I'm also noticing that my form is getting better. 2 wins there. That's excellent, Lisa. So you've lost a few pounds, but more than that, you feel stronger. You feel better, and you're noticing that your form is getting better. That is awesome. And so that's great. And that's one of the things that I learned on my way to getting in better shape, was that it takes a lot longer than you would think. And in the media, we get sold on these things that there's a 30-day body transformation that we can do, or a 60-day body transformation. Hey, Mark is saying that the video is not going.
Ask him to refresh.
Hey, Mark, you got to try refreshing your screen. It may have to do with...
because my video is okay.
It might have to do with the connection that you have. Try refreshing. So so it takes a lot longer than you would think. And we have some people who are making progress. Lisa, you're making progress. Pretty much everybody's made some progress, right? They've made progress in their strength. They've lost a few pounds. They can feel the abs tighter. They can feel the other muscles tighter. But it is not, he said he refreshed it and there's no change. Is there anything I can do?
To log again because it's perfect. I mean, watching it's normal.
Oh, so Mark, Lisa is saying that she had to click a link to view the video on YouTube. So she's watching it on YouTube. Okay. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm not exactly sure. Why don't you sign out, then sign back in, log back in, and see if that helps. And what we're going to do, we're going to try a different technology or different software. Sorry. And we'll see if that works better than this one. I don't know why Google Hangouts. Sometimes it works fine, and then sometimes it acts up. So I know that can be frustrating. Really sorry about that, but we'll try something else next time. Okay, we'll try. If anything, we can maybe even do something next week, and we can try this again. So and with the new technology, let's try something else out. But log back in. The video screen is still black. Oh, Mark, I'm not sure what the deal is there, because if it's black, then that's not. I'm not sure what to tell you. Did you have the same problem last time, Mark? So here's what's going to happen, Mark. Giselle's going to try to handle it for you. I don't want to take away from everybody else in the group. None of the other people have complained that they have an issue with the video, except you. So Giselle's going to try to handle it, and I'm going to just keep going to not take away from everybody else. So so I do want you to share your wins in the chat room. So back to what I was saying is it takes a lot longer than you might think, and in 3 months, you're going to notice a big difference in your body. You're going to see muscles that you didn't see before. You're going to notice things that you didn't notice before. You're going to see, hopefully, that not only do you maybe weigh less, but you fit better into your clothes. But here's what I want to tell you. You're not going to be completely transformed in 3 months. And it takes a long time. And what I tell my personal training clients, what I tell people who ask me that, in fact, someone asked me today, they wanted to come in to the group 3 that's going to be launching on Monday. He asked me, hey, he showed me a picture of what he wanted to look like. And it was a very muscular guy who was pretty lean, not like super ripped, shredded, something that was completely beyond you know, when you see someone and you're like, that, how is that even real? But it was a very in shape guy. And he asked me, I said, man, you're looking at a year to 2 years to do that. A year to 2 years. And that's dependent on how well you follow the program, how consistent you are with following the program. And you got to be showing up most of the weeks of a year to make sure that happens. Because if you're showing up, there's 52 weeks in a year. If you're showing up half the time because you come on strong for a month and you take a month off, then you do it for 6 weeks, then you take 3 weeks off, I guarantee you will never get there. And I want to tell you why I know that. Because right now, one of the things I say is that I train CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies. That's one of the things I say, right? And it's true. But what I don't tell a lot of people, because nobody asks, because nobody probably cares until I share this part, is that these guys, they all go out of town over the summer. They leave Miami. That's just what you do if you got millions of dollars and you live in a place like Miami that gets unbearably hot. So they spend most of the year working out with me, working hard, their body starts to change, then they go away, and most of the times they don't do anything. They don't do anything. And you know what happens? They come back, and we have to start not from the very beginning, but from a place where they're going to have to spend months just to get back to where they were before. And that's because your body does something called detraining, right? Your body detrains. And as soon as you stop working out for, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're starting to lose fitness. You're going to start to lose muscle. You're going to start to lose strength. You're going to start to lose endurance. All those changes that you work so hard for are going to go away. And that's completely in congruence with what we know about the human body. The human body is very conservative. It doesn't want to change. So your body, this is a really important point. Your body does not want to lose fat. Your body does not want to gain muscle. Your body has changed slowly over time, become what it is now, and it doesn't want to change. And we know that there's things that work there. Something that's really interesting that I learned kind of recently is that your hypothalamus, which is a part of your brain, regulates your body weight. So let's say you lose 20 pounds, right? You started working out, you started eating less, and you lose 20 pounds. You think and you lost it in a short amount of time. Let's say you lost it in 2 weeks. You were crushing it, you lost 20 pounds. You pulled the biggest loser. Your hypothalamus starts to ramp up your hunger hormone, ghrelin, and starts to depress leptin, which is the hormone that helps you feel full. So that's why it's so difficult to change your body, whether your goal is to build muscle, whether your goal is to lose body fat, because our bodies are wired to prevent change, especially fast change. And by the way, I apologize. I am sick. I've got a bit of a cold, but I'm still here. We're still going to rock this out. So keep that in mind. This is a long process, and I want to sell you on that idea. So one reason is that I want you to be cool with yourself. Right? You're like, I'm working out. I have some of you working out 4, 5, 6 days a week. And you may not see fast results. Not at first. It takes time. I understand how frustrating it is. But that's what you have to do. I want you to focus on the process. And the second thing I want to focus, by process, I mean focus on the habits. Focus on like, okay, did I hit all my workouts this week, my strength workouts? Did I start to do that aerobic training program that Ted gave me? Did I start to do that? How many times did I do that? Those are the habits that you can focus on. If you're like, oh, I didn't lose a pound this week, or I didn't lose 5 pounds this week, you don't want to focus on that stuff, okay? You really don't. And the second thing you want to focus on is, are you getting stronger? Are you able to lift more weight? Are you able to do more sets and reps? Are you able to go longer on your aerobic exercise? Or are you able to go a little harder? Perhaps you're doing jogging or biking for the aerobic exercise, and you're noticing, hey, I'm keeping up a faster pace and my heart rate is still staying in the right range. That is what I want you to focus on. So back to those two things. Number one is the habits. Are you working out? Are you doing the aerobic exercise? Are you focusing on the amount of water that you get every day? Are you focusing on the amount of vegetables and fruits that you eat every day? Are you focusing on the basics? And that's what I want you to focus on. And the second thing is, sorry, I got a sneeze attack coming on. And the second thing is, are you getting stronger? And if you are getting stronger, that means that the program's working, period. That means that it's working for you. But it's going to take some time. And especially, we got a guy who's 27 in the group, the youngest guy in the group. His body's changing kind of quickly. Some of you are in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's going to take a bit longer. I don't know all the reasons. Some people say it's just chalk it up to hormones. Maybe that's the entire answer. I can't tell you 100%, but I'll tell you, I'm 39 years old now, and it's a bit different to get in shape, especially if you have some injuries. So those are a couple things that I want you to keep in mind, because to bring it back to what we were talking about before, what I brought up before is that's what super fit people do. I watched the CrossFit Games documentary on Netflix, and I'm not no huge fan of CrossFit, but I was curious about it. And one of the competitors trained for 7 years to get to the point where he's competing in the games. 7 years. It's crazy. Now, you don't want to compete at CrossFit, or else you wouldn't be in this program, at least not at this point. And I'm glad, because I want your shoulders, backs, knees, and everything else to be okay. And to be in shape to even do some of the CrossFit workouts. It takes a long time just to get into shape to be able to do that. But that's how long it took them to build that level of fitness. So I want you to keep that in mind. Keep a long-term vision in mind for what you want to achieve. So who else has something that they want to share? Can someone else share? Mark, do you have a recent win that you want to share? Or Lisa? No, Lisa's already shared. So Michael and Rick, if there's any wins that you want to share, or any questions you have. And while I'm waiting for you to answer in the chat room, I want to say something else. I want to apologize, because we said we'd have you a 7-day diet, a 7-day meal plan every month, and we are like super late on the second meal plan. And I want to tell you the reason why. It's not an excuse, but it is the reason. Is we got the feedback from the survey, and people said that some of the meals were too expensive and too hard to cook, too elaborate. So what we've gone and done is we had to look in other places to put the recipes into a plan. We're having to do a lot of other work to put together a recipe plan for 7 days. Excuse me, that's more cost effective. Someone actually made a great comment. They said, well, what if I have chicken in my refrigerator, and how should I cook that? And so we've been putting together these recipes. We'll have them to you soon. You will end up, I promise you, getting a 7-day meal plan for every month that you spend in the program. I promise by the time you walk away from this, you will have all those, okay? We were using this software to put together meal plans that gives you all the shopping list and makes it real easy. And now we're having to get the recipes somewhere else, because all this recipe place has is all these expensive, elaborate recipes. So we had to get the recipes from somewhere else. So I'll have that to you. Another thing is while I'm waiting for some wins or some questions, I want to go over something that Greg asked. And Greg is Goyo in the group. And Greg actually got a little injured from one of the workouts. Okay, and I want to talk about what happened, and talk about how we make sure that doesn't happen to you. So here's what happened to Goyo. He really pulled a calf muscle bad, and to the point where he had to be on crutches for a couple days. Sorry for laughing, but I've been there myself. not with my calf, but I pulled a muscle in my back really bad, and I had to go home and cancel all my clients for the day. That was in my 20s, but I've been there. So what Goyo asked is, are there signs you have to be aware of when an injury comes, and what can be done to avoid them? And such a great question. And if you have some achy joints, if you are older, this is going to be especially important for you. So number one, I gave you a dynamic warm-up with mobility exercises. It had the foam rolling, the stretching, and the mobility exercises. If injuries are a concern for you because either you've been injured before, or you're a bit older, or you feel like on the tight side, like you have tight joints, like that's me. I'm a little more injury prone than other people because of the wear and tear I have, and I have a bunch of injuries going on. So what I have to do all that mobility stuff. Now, should you get the foam roller? I highly recommend that you do. But even if you don't, you got to do the stretching, the mobility beforehand, and do the stretching afterward. So those things can help prevent injuries by addressing them in the first place, addressing the tightness, the underlying issues that will cause injury when you're in the gym working out. Now, that's the preventive measure. Let's talk about during the workout. So during the workout, you really have to pay attention to how you feel, and more specifically to how your working muscles feel in an exercise. So let's say, and I don't know this to be true because Goyo didn't tell me the entire details of what happened, but he was doing step-ups. He was doing the 5 sets of 15 on the last on the 3 week. You know how it gets so crazy that third week. So let's say you start to feel a little something and you keep pushing. That's when the injury happens. Okay, when you start to feel a little something and you keep pushing. Here's another time when injuries happen. Let's say you're doing an exercise, and this could be any exercise. Let's say that you're starting to fatigue and your form is getting, let's say you're doing a bench press and your form's getting a little, but you got to make, Ted said, I got to do 5 sets, 15 of these, or 5 sets of 8 of these. Even if I'm not able to do them well, stop when your technique gets bad. So when you start to feel like, hey, my technique, I can feel that I'm starting to push in an asymmetrical way, in an uneven way, that's when you want to stop. So that's when you want to stop. Anytime where you get really fatigued and you're not able to maintain form, or when you start to feel a pinch in your muscle or your joint and you start to push through it. So you really have to be self-aware. And I've learned this the hard way, and I'm actually telling you those examples because I've pulled muscles and had injuries so many times. And I've worked with a lot of people, and most of my clients now, they never get injured. But the guys who come in, and I had a client who wanted to deadlift 300 pounds, and we got him up to 295. But he tweaked his back one day on the way up to that, and he wasn't respecting the weight. And I said, man, I told you what to do, and you're not doing it. You got to, when you feel something, when you feel like you can't handle something, you got to put it down. And by the way, that was on the way to 295. So that was when he first started, when we were deadlifting maybe 185 pounds or 200 pounds. So by the time he was deadlifting 295, he had his form down. He knew all the things that I was talking about because he had that scare a little bit early. He's like, man, I felt my back. I got really scared because, of course, he doesn't want to hurt his back or get injured. Injuries are terrible psychologically, physically. They take a toll on you. You get depressed because you can't work out the way you can or the way you were. So really important question, Goyo. Thank you for asking. And I know you're going to make a fast recovery because it's just a muscle issue, and we'll take care of you. In the meantime, we'll make sure your upper body stays nice and strong while your calf is healing. So Lisa, you have a question about the cardio workouts I sent via Nudge. You're a little confused about how much and how often, only on non-strength training days. Okay, great question. Sorry that I wasn't more clear about that. So what I gave you was weekly progressions. So if any of you have issues with this, I sent you some stuff and you're like, Ted, what the hell is all this, like week one, first of all, let me tell you this. I'm going to rewrite the workouts to include the aerobic exercise into it. So it'll be there, and explanation will be there in the workouts. But I didn't want you to have to wait until I gave you that. So what I meant, Lisa, is you do the aerobic exercise on the off days, on the non-strength training days. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's better if it's that way. Okay, and there's one caveat, or not one caveat, one exception, and I'll talk to you about that in a second, Lisa, because it may be relevant for you. So, let's say, Lisa, you're on the 4-day body weight workout. So you work out your Monday and Tuesday, and then on your Wednesday, you do your aerobic exercise. Then you hit your Thursday and Friday strength training days, then you do aerobic exercise on Saturday. Now, can you mix up the schedule a little bit? Yeah, of course you can, as long as you get an entire, sorry, everyone. As long as you get an entire rest day. As long as you get an entire rest day, that's fine. And you could even skip out on the rest, but I really don't want you to. I really want you to take an entire day of rest. And of course, you can get your 10,000 steps in, but no structured workouts, no aerobic exercise, no strength training. So take an entire rest day. And so that's the first thing. Do it on the non-strength training days. Now, what's that exception that I talked about? Let's say that you don't want to put on too much muscle. Like Lisa, let's say that you started to notice, of course, this isn't what you're going to notice right now, right? But let's say, oh, my upper body is starting to look too muscular, and you're a woman and you want to be feminine, and but you still want to exercise and look good. What you can do is do your aerobic exercise after a strength training day if you want. But this is also important for the men, because men are more, or anyone wanting to build more muscle. If you do a strength training routine and then hit 45 minutes of cardio or of aerobic exercise, or 50 minutes of aerobic exercise, what happens is that aerobic exercise interferes with your body's ability to put on muscle. So you may get stronger, you will definitely get more fit, but you won't get bigger. So really important, okay? Really important. So, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm a little confused about how much and how often. So let's handle the I've already said this, but just to reiterate, 2 days per week of the aerobic training, 2 days a week. And how much? I gave you the weekly progressions. So week one, I believe, is 20 minutes. 20 minutes, because, wow, got some crazy weather. Hopefully that's not coming through too much on the call, but it's been wild weather here in Miami, wild tropical weather. So 20 minutes is week one. So what you do is you hit your workout on Monday, hit your workout on Tuesday, then you would do a 20-minute aerobic training for week one. And week two is, I think, 25 minutes. I forgot exactly what I wrote, but I had the progression in there. I believe it was 25 minutes, then 30 minutes, right? And then and then for the second month, it starts to build up to, I believe, 50 minutes. And I want you to do 45, 50 minutes. I want you to work up to that 50-minute aerobic training session. Why? Because you'll burn fat like crazy. If you're working out with doing strength training 3 or 4 times a week, and you're not losing the fat that you want, you're not losing the weight that you want, include the aerobic exercise. If you want to get ripped, include the aerobic exercise. Let's say lean, because I don't mean like you're going to striated muscles and veins coming out of your chest and abs ripped, but I mean lean. Like you can, if you want to see your abs, make sure you get in those aerobic sessions. You will get great results. And I want to tell you why. More exercise gives better results. And people who you see who are really fit, they exercise a lot. Now, if that's not what you want, I understand, but I don't make the rules of the human body, right? Evolution made them, God made them, someone else made them, definitely wasn't me. And what I want you to understand is if you're not getting the results you want specifically for fat loss, add in the aerobic training. It will, as you start to add more and more volume, you will start to lean out. Okay, I promise you that. There's nobody in this group who's going to do all that working out and not lose some pounds. Okay, even if your diet isn't spectacular, even if it's less than ideal. Okay, so that's why it's there. That's how much to do. Follow the progression, just like you have the weekly progressions for the strength training routine where you're doing 4 sets of 12, then 5 sets of, the 4 sets of 15, then 5 sets of 12. It changes every week. The aerobic will change every week too, and of course you'll have a deload on the 4th week because it's really important to do deloads, especially if you're not in your 20s and you want to maintain this for months and months without getting injured. You've got to do your deloads, and including with aerobic exercise. So does that answer your question, Lisa? And after week 3, I really liked having the rest day. Yeah, week 3 is brutal. Hey, just a quick thing about week 3, since you brought it up. I wrote that week 3 is going to be, as you know by now, your most intense week. It's going to be your most intense week. You may look at it and say, whoa, Ted, I don't see myself doing that. In fact, when you start off, maybe you only get 3 sets or 4 sets, and you look at that 4th or 5th set, you say, there's no way I'm going to do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to get all these sets and all these reps. Now, here's what I want to tell you. I want you to push yourself. But if you've got to drop some reps off or you have to drop an entire set off, it's okay. The idea is that you push yourself. It's not that you say, well, Ted wrote 5 sets of 15, so that must be the magic number that I have to hit. It's not that. It's you got to push yourself. But if you feel like what's written on paper is too much for you, back it off. And I want to tell you, that's what I do with my personal training clients. You all are part of a group training program. It's a lot more cost effective for you because hiring me one-on-one is expensive. And it's also better for me because I can kind of just help a group of people instead of a bunch of individuals. It's much harder work to do individual training. But what I do for my individuals is I dial it in exactly, especially for my personal training clients who I show up to every single day. Believe me, if there's 5 sets of 15 or 5 sets of 8 reps or 5 sets of 5 reps on paper and they're not feeling it, I think they're going to get injured. I think they're pushing too hard. We don't do the reps. We don't do the sets. We only do what they're capable of doing well. And I want you to do what you're capable of doing well. So listen to your body. Your body is more right than anything I could tell you. And if your body's saying, hey, don't do that for a set, don't do that next rep, listen to your body, don't listen to me, okay? I'm giving you a general guideline, a general recommendation, and it's a very good general guideline and general recommendation, but ultimately you've got to be the one to make the call and listen to your body. It sends you very clear signals. So Lisa said, yes, that did, or you did that, right? So, so there we go. I don't want to keep you on here longer than we need to. So who has does anybody have a follow-up question? Does anybody have anything that they want me to talk about, ask about? All right, I'm going to wrap things up. So thank you so much for being on. And I'm sorry for the issues with the Google Hangouts. We're going to try a different software, something that someone told me about recently. And we'll see if it works. It's just going to be a little bit more of a headache because logistically speaking, but we'll try it out and see if it works, okay? So that's why this is a beta version. That's why I'm giving you half off to be part of it. And so I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your business. I appreciate you being part of the group, being a pioneer, trying something out that wasn't fully worked out, right, beforehand. I mean, we had the plan, but we didn't know exactly. You can have a plan and then people are going to want something different, or people are going to respond differently than you think. So thank you for being part of it. And this is going to get nothing but better. All right. In fact, one more thing. If you want me, here's what I had in mind, because some people were saying, hey, Ted, I want to know about nutrition. I want to know about sleep. I don't want to have to wait a month to get a coaching call and a training. And here's what I want to do is put together a training on exercise, a training on nutrition, and training on sleep, and send them to everybody so that you can watch them anytime you want. The other thing that I wanted to do is I'm going to put together a nutrition basics PDF so that you can, if you can watch the video, you can also print out this PDF and follow it. And I want your feedback on it. So do those sound good? Is that what you want? Do you have another suggestion? Would love to hear from you. That's all I've got. Thanks so much for being on the call tonight, and we'll talk soon.